Kia ora and welcome to this episode of the Much Austenite. I'm Frances Duncan, an author and the founder of the Jane Austen Society of New Zealand. My guest today is Emma.
Hello.
And today we're going to be discussing Letter 12 of Lady Susan by Jane Austen. Emma is going to read Letter 12.
Letter 12. Sir Reginald de Courcy to his son. Parklands. I know that young men in general do not admit of any inquiry, even from their nearest relations, into affairs of the heart. But I hope, my dear Reginald, that you will be superior to such as allow nothing for a father's anxiety, and think themselves privileged to refuse him their confidence and slight his advice. You must be sensible that as an only son and a representative of an ancient family, your conduct in life is most interesting to your connections. In the very important concern of marriage, especially, there is everything at stake. Your own happiness, that of your parents, and the credit of your name. I do not suppose that you would deliberately form an absolute engagement of that nature without acquainting your mother and myself, or at least without being convinced that we should approve your choice. But I cannot help fearing that you may be drawn in by the lady who has lately attached you to a marriage which the whole of your family, far and near, must highly reprobate. Lady Susan's age itself is a material objection, but her want of character is one so much more serious that the difference of even 12 years becomes in comparison of small account. Were you not blinded by a sort of fascination, it would be ridiculous in me to repeat the instances of great misconduct on her side, so very generally known. Her neglect of her husband, her encouragement of other men, her extravagance and dissipation were so gross and notorious that no one could be ignorant of them at the time, nor can now have forgotten them. To our family, she has always been represented in softened colours by the benevolence of Mr. Charles Vernon, and yet, in spite of his generous endeavours to excuse her, we know that she did, from the most selfish motives, take all possible pains to prevent his marrying Catherine. My years and increasing infirmities make me very desirous, my dear Reginald, of seeing you settled in the world. To the fortune of your wife, the goodness of my own will make me indifferent, but her family and character must be equally unexceptionable. When your choice is so fixed as that no objection can be made to either, I can promise you a ready and cheerful consent. But it is my duty to oppose a match which deep art only could render probable, and must in the end make wretched. It is possible that her behaviour may arise only from vanity, or a wish of gaining the admiration of a man whom she must imagine to be particularly prejudiced against her. But it is more likely that she should aim at something farther. She is poor, and may naturally seek an alliance which may be advantageous to herself. You know your own rights, and that it is out of my power to prevent you inheriting the family estate. My ability of distressing you during my life would be a species of revenge to which I should hardly stoop under any circumstances. I honestly tell you my sentiments and intentions. I do not wish to work on your fears, but on your sense and affection. It would destroy every comfort of my life to know that you were married to Lady Susan Vernon. It would be the death of that honest pride which I have hitherto considered my son. I should blush to see him, to hear him, to think of him. I may perhaps do no good but that of relieving my own mind by this letter, but I felt it my duty to tell you that your partiality for Lady Susan is no secret to your friends, and to warn you against her. I should be glad to hear your reasons for disbelieving Mr. Smith's intelligence. You had no doubt of its authenticity a month ago. If you can give me your assurance of having no design beyond enjoying the conversation of a clever woman for a short period, and of yielding admiration only to her beauty and abilities without being blinded by them to her faults, you will restore me to happiness. But if you cannot do this, explain to me at least what has occasioned so great an alteration in your opinion of her. I am, etc., Reginald de Courcy.
Oh my God. That was so hard. I was putting my hand over my mouth so hard like I couldn't breathe. That was fantastic.
I think I might have turned from the priest into Mr. Walter Elliot at some point in there.
For the benefit of the listeners, Can you tell them the inspiration for your voice for Sir Reginald?
Marriage. What brings us together today. That was The Princess Bride.
Excellent
with a little
job.
bit of Sir Walter Elliott. From the production of Persuasion with Amanda Root.
1995.
1995.
That was a good year for Austen adaptations.
It was a year for Austen adaptations. I watched another one last night, the Mansfield Park, with Frances O'Connor.
That was 1999.
It was 99.
Was there any reason in particular that you chose that voice for Sir Reginald?
I feel he's got drooping moustaches. He has an old-fashioned name, de Courcy. I feel like the family came over with the Norman invasion. I feel like they're a long-established baronetcy, an old county family, very respectable, kind of courtly. I feel like they've got a suit of armour in the hall.
We don't actually get a lot of letters from guys in this whole book.
No, and this is the only letter, I think, from Sir Reginald Senior.
Not spoilers, hopefully, but this is indeed the only letter from Sir Reginald. Would it have been a different story if he had a voice, I wonder?
Well, he's spot on about Lady Susan and her motivations.
Yeah. She is poor and may naturally seek an alliance which may be advantageous to herself. Yes. He also says it's possible that her behaviour may arise only from vanity. Or, and here's the kicker, a wish of gaining the admiration of a man whom she must imagine to be particularly prejudiced against her. Are these people mind readers?
He's never met Lady Susan.
No, that's the crazy thing. But everyone can see through her. Like, well, she's only doing this because she knows that you think she's just a giant flirt. It's just fun for her.
So I guess this is the advantage of the very detailed letters that they send each other that are crisscrossing the country, where they describe every dinner party and the behaviour of people. So somebody has described to him, and by somebody we can imagine it's probably his daughter Catherine, but also he's got information before that about Lady Susan so that he can guess at her motivations so accurately.
Because your letters were a big thing. Private letters. In Pride and Prejudice, when Lydia is away, her letters to Kitty aren't made public because there's too many underlined words, but presumably the rest of her letters are all made public. When someone gets a letter, whether you know the person who's written to them or not, people tend to read them aloud because it's entertaining, it's gossip, it's like a TV show or a radio show. You get to learn about people and what's going on in their lives.
It could be called gossip, or it could be called the social mesh that keeps us together.
I mean, we do need a little bit of gossip. What is news if not actually gossip on a different scale?
Your reputation, it's how social control works. If it worked properly, Lady Susan would not be getting on quite so well as she does.
True. It's clear from Sir Reginald's letter that Reggie has told him about Mr. Smith and the story he told about Lady Susan at Langford.
He got those stories while he was at home with his parents.
Yeah, and he's obviously told them. And Sir Reginald is asking, what are your reasons for disbelieving? You had no doubt of authenticity a month ago.
Unfortunately, we never get the answer to that question. I would be curious to see how Reggie answers. Or do we?
Letter 14, we get...
Oh, smashing. We've got something to look forward to.
He almost demands an explanation. What has occasioned so great an alteration in your opinion of her? Because it is a huge about face. Reggie was like, this is a terrible woman. I know the worst of her, but I'm going to go meet her because she's fascinating. And then he's like, no, she's so lovely. Isn't she great? Oh, she's so hard done by. Not that Sir Reginald has heard this from Reggie. It's Mrs. Vernon writing to her mother in the previous letter saying, please try and get Reggie to come home. I'm really worried what's going to happen. Lady Susan's got him round her little finger.
There's a nice piece of parenting in here. Sir Reginald is laying out the facts. He's not threatening to cut Reggie off. He's saying,
says he can't.
He's not pretending that he's going to. He's laying it out. I can't, and you know that I can't. He doesn't bluff, so he could threaten to cut his allowance off.
he's laying it out that he's not going to do that. He's appealing to his sense and affection.
He talks about his honest pride. It would be the death of my honest pride. I should blush to see you, to hear you, to think of you if you marry Lady Susan.
So maybe not such good parenting, because that's emotional blackmail, just not financial blackmail.
He lays out his argument. Her age is an issue. There could be several explanations for the age being an issue, because she's no longer of marriageable, therefore childbearing age. But he does go on to say that, there's 12 years between you. So I think he's actually referring to she's quite a few years older than you. That's kind of not cool. Then he goes on to say, actually, it's more about who she is. She neglected her husband. She encourages other men. She's extravagant and dissipant, and everybody is aware of this. You know how badly she treated your sister. She tried to stop your sister marrying her husband. He says for selfish motives, but we don't actually know why. It's never explained why she didn't want Charles Vernon to marry Catherine de Courcy. What are these supposed selfish motives?
Well, we do know it didn't suit her for Charles Vernon to marry anyone. That was the stuff about the castle.
If he bought the castle, she definitely didn't want him to marry, because she could maintain her role as lead of the house, right, as the female of the household.
Maybe just that if he were married, it would be more expected by other people that they would then be able to buy the castle.
Or maybe it's when he's single, he's more able to be under her thumb. When he has a wife, he moves away from his brother and lives his own life. And therefore, Lady Susan no longer has access to his money in quite the same way.
Well, we certainly know that Charles Vernon only exists to be under someone's thumb, and she would prefer it to be hers.
Sir Reginald refers to the benevolence of his character, who has represented Lady Susan to the family in softened colours. Yeah, he doesn't seem as sharp as his wife. Maybe his brother was the same, and that's why he married Lady Susan.
Probably married her because she was beautiful.
There's nothing wrong with marrying someone because they're hot. It's the same as marrying someone because they're rich, right? It's your genetics are this person will be able to either make good babies or provide for babies. So like beauty and wealth kind of equate.
We don't know what her situation was. It may have been a status thing if she's the daughter of an earl.
Beautiful and the daughter of an earl.
Yeah, so perhaps it was a status thing.
She's quite a catch. But yeah,
shame about the character.
She's 12 years older than Reggie. That's impressive.
So he's 23.
He's 23 and she's 35. Like now, age doesn't matter so much.
I think 23 and 35 would still...
Like maybe once you get past 25, it doesn't matter?
I think it does still depend on children a little bit. A 23-year-old male would not be expected to be wanting to start a family. And a 35-year-old female, people would be expecting her biological clock to be ticking. They would be asking her, do you want children?
If you don't have any, why don't you have any?
Mm-mm.
Whereas, older men have always dated younger women. And even during Jane Austen's time, very acceptable. You wanted a younger bride because she has more fertile years.
Mr. Knightley and Emma.
Oh, 16 years. Yeah, that makes a lot of people uncomfortable.
It's just the age at which he started fancying her.
Because she was
13. I'm shaking my head for the record.
She was 13, yeah. Interestingly, though, people aren't as upset by that marriage as they tend to be by Marianne Dashwood to Colonel Brandon. Because there, she talks about the age difference, so it's really obvious. But in Emma and Mr. Knightley's, it's not quite as obvious all the time.
Yes, it clearly bothers Marianne Dashwood. She thinks of him as an old man, and it really does seem like settling that she has to have her youthful hopes dashed. And then she has to settle.
I don't know, because when you think about it, Colonel Brandon's actually a very romantic character. Remember, his first love has died, and that's the sort of thing that Marianne is very into. He's very romantic and he's emotional, but he's also dependable, so he's kind of got all the good things.
He is very good at rescuing damsels in distress.
Not his first love because she died. But anyway, that's off topic.
Back to fathers trying to rein in their sons unsuccessfully. A father's plea to sense and affection and honest pride. Bottom line, it doesn't work.
He does say, I don't mind if your wife has money. I'm indifferent about the fortune of your wife, but her family and character must be unexceptionable. That's the issue. So, Lady Susan doesn't have any money. That's fine. Okay, she's older than you. Not great. However, the big glaring problem is Lady Susan herself. Please do not make her part of our family. Remember how she tried to ostracize your sister. Remember how she seduced other men. Remember how she neglected her husband.
Well, we shall see the effect that this letter has shortly.
And that's our discussion of letter 12 of Lady Susan by Jane Austen. I'm Frances Duncan. You can find me at francesduncanwrites.com, on Twitter at Frances_Duncan, and on Instagram at Frances Duncan Does. Thank you for listening, and we wish you happy reading.